Morning, everybody. We're glad you joined us. Josh, we're giving a couple of weeks off, so for all you Josh fans, you're stuck with me for the next couple of weeks. And we're just going to talk about making peace with your past this Christmas and how maybe some things next couple of weeks we can learn to do that. Caleb, got a question for you. Your favorite Christmas villain?
Villain?
Yeah.
Oh, the Grinch.
The Grinch. That's the guy. The top three on this survey I read this week was, number 3, I never heard of this guy, Mr. Oogie Boogie. You ever heard of him? I think there's a movie out there called 'Twas the Nightmare Before Christmas, and I think he's on there. Grinch was number 2.
Really?
Yeah. Surprised me too. Now, I saw this other survey where he was number 1. It was real close. 1 and 2 is always the same.
Yeah.
Grinch, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge was number 1. And, of course, he's part of that Christmas classic written in 1843 by Charles Dickens, The Christmas Carol. I think we got these guys up here. Let's see. Let's see what we got. There's Mr. Oogie. I never heard of him. Oogie Boogie. All right. The Grinch, number 2. Number 1, there he is, Ebenezer Scrooge. And Scrooge was a mean, miserly, miserable man at the beginning of the story. If you saw one of the 300 and so films called A Christmas Carol or read the book. But you can see how he got that way if you watch the movies, one of the many movies, or read the book. When he was visited by the ghost of Christmas past, you find out that Scrooge as a boy was abandoned by his father. He was left alone for the holidays at the boarding school he lived at. His sister dies. His fiancée dumps him because she thinks he loves money more than her, and he probably did. Scrooge was a mean, hurtful man. But Scrooge was also a hurting man. And he was because he was a prisoner of his past. All those things, those hurts, those things that happened in the past made him the mean man he was today. And that can happen. Another man who had a difficult past was the Apostle Paul. And while Scrooge is fiction, Paul is real. And so we want to look at that today because we're not unlike the Apostle Paul. Everybody has a past. And some of us are still controlled by our past, are imprisoned by our past. We're still trying to please that unpleasable parent or that unpleasable spouse or that unpleasable ex-spouse. Some of us are still bound by hurtful lies we heard as a growing up. You're a loser. I wished you were never born. You'll never amount to anything. Some of us have been hurt by abuse or neglect or abandonment or death or betrayal. Some of us are still weighed down by shame and guilt and haunted by the regrets and failures of the past and things that we've done. And so we build up these walls because we've been betrayed. We all have a past. And, we can put up a front for a little while, but I want us to spend this week and next week looking at how we can make peace with our past. And we'll look at 2 truths today and a couple of truths next week. The first one is this: if I want to deal with my past, the first thing I want to do is honestly confront my past. I need to honestly confront my past because denial is the number 1 reason many people can't make peace with their past hurts or their past regrets. Denial's bad. Pretending like it didn't happen, pretending like it wasn't that big of a deal is bad because it suppresses our emotions. When I deny the hurt or the regret or the thing I did wrong because it brings up too much pain or too much shame or too much guilt, and we pretend it didn't happen or we sugarcoat it or whatever because we don't be stigmatized as he's a loser or whatever. Denial deceives us into thinking we're in control when we're not. An addict, I can stop any time, or, that really didn't hurt, or that was a long time ago, and we deny and pretend like that past hurt or that past mistake, that past failure wasn't that big a deal. And the problem with suppressing our emotions and denying it is that they come out somewhere else. It's like they're going to spew out. You can only put so much pressure on something, on a balloon before it pops and goes everywhere. And so it comes out maybe in self-hatred or anger at God or anger at other people, or it keeps us from building healthy relationships. And it just becomes a vicious circle. So how do I honestly confront my past? 2 things. 1, I need to admit my sin. That's the beginning of finding peace, is admission. Look at what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13. Paul says, even though I was once a blasphemer, a persecutor, and a violent man. He was a blasphemer, a persecutor, and a violent man. Paul admitted his sin. He confronted the mistakes of his past. Can you imagine making the statement about yourself, writing the worst things about yourself, and then sending them out where for 2,000 years people are reading about it? That took some courage. But it also gave Paul courage. And it disarmed his enemies because he said, I know I'm bad. I knew I blew it. Why, I was a violent man. So if you want to be free from that addiction that's destroying your life, or that selfishness, or that anger that's destroying your marriage, or that guilt that's keeping you miserable and hungry, admit the past. Admit, you know what? I was wrong. That's the start of confronting my past, admitting my sin, admitting that thing that in the past that's haunting me. I'm never going to find peace until I just confess it to God, and if possible, to those who've I hurt, to do that. And then secondly, I need to face the pain. So not only do I admit my sin, I face my pain. To stop defeating myself, I have to stop deceiving myself. And Paul didn't hide the fact that people hurt him. I want you to look at this verse in 2 Timothy. I think it says 1 Timothy. It really should be 2 Timothy. That was my bad. But here's what Paul says at the end of 2 Timothy. He writes to Timothy and he says, do your best to come to me quickly. For Demas, because he loved the world, has deserted me. Alexander, the metal worker, did me great harm. And Paul says, at my first offense, the first time I needed people to help me, no one came to my support. Everyone deserted me. See the hurt he admits there? He said, there was people that let me down. There's people I thought I could count on that I couldn't count on. He admitted the pain, but he also offered forgiveness. He said, may it not be held against them. And ignoring the pain, ignoring the hurt, that abuse, that wasn't that big a deal, or whatever it is just going to prolong the healing, and it may even keep you from healing. So admit the past hurts that are keeping you from having the peace and joy that you have. There are mean people and hurting people who hurt others. And we've all been hurt. We've all inflicted hurt unintentionally in most cases. And so the key to finding peace from my past is facing that pain and realizing that abandonment, that neglect, whatever it is, has hurt, and to offer forgiving. I can be forgiving and loving and still admit the hurt. And I can do those things and still not put myself in that position to be hurt again. So if you want peace from your past, admit that you've been hurt, maybe by someone you thought you could trust. Admit maybe you were part of the problem. Just be honest about the past. Now here's the point. We all have a past. It doesn't matter who you are. You have a past. We all have past hurts. We all have past regrets. And healing comes when we face it. The good news is God offers me that past. He offers me peace so I can overcome my past. So the first thing we learn about making peace with my past is I need to honestly confront my past. And then the second thing we want to look at today is after I confront it, I need to accept God's gift of mercy. Caleb, I just did some research on the 3, this is from goodhousekeeping.com, so I'm sure it's different other ways, 3 hot selling, best trending, whatever gifts so far this year. All right? I struck out on all 3 of them. Here's the third one. Pop it up there. I'm not even going to ask you. I never heard of this. That is the Elf Snowball Showdown card game. That is number 3. That is selling like crazy on Amazon. And it's cheap. $7. You can buy somebody the Elf Snowball Showdown card game. Number 2 is a phone charger. A 3-in-1 charging stand. You can charge your iPhone, your Apple Watch, and your AirPods. Do your AirPods need charging?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do they? You can charge all of that right there. Now you would like that gift, right?
I would.
Yeah, you would. Now, to see me, I don't know an AirPod from Airbud or Peapod or anything else. But anyway, but it's a place, and it's number 2. I mean, you just set it up and you're charged. But the number one, according to goodhousekeeping.com, was this purse. It's a lightweight, medium crossbody bag with tassel, and it has to be red. Now crossbody, I guess, I haven't carried a purse in a long time. I think that means it goes across this way, right? And sort of like, so it's got that long strap. Number one, most selling according to Good House, but it's got to be the red one. So maybe I'll buy you a red tassel purse for Christmas. You can put something in it, but yeah, number one, I'm thinking, great. And it's crazy. I remember one time when, years ago, Tickle Me Elmo was the big thing, and people were fighting for it, and I mean, Pet Rocks one year, big things. But let me tell you that the best gift you can get this year is God's mercy. God's mercy. And mercy is when God gives us another chance. Mercy is when God gives us a do-over, when God gives us a break. We've spent the past 6 weeks talking about grace. Grace, we said, was when God provides us a way out of the mess we're in and a way into His family. Well, mercy, it gives us a break. I've heard preachers say grace is when God gives us what we need, not what we deserve. Mercy is when God doesn't give us what we do deserve. And I sort of like that. But grace provides us a way out and a way in. God's mercy gives us a break. And He gave Paul a break. Here's what Paul says in 1 Corinthians again, chapter 13. He talks about, I was shown mercy because I acted in ignorance. And he did that. Now, Paul, before he was a Christian, was a terrorist. He was the Osama bin Laden of his day. He persecuted Christians. He killed Christians. But when he met Jesus, his life changed forever because he accepted that mercy. Acts 22:16 is a great verse. It's a verse where Paul talks about his conversion, how he went from his blasphemer and persecutor, and how he was free from his past regrets and past hurts, and how God did. And he tells his conversion story in Acts 22. And we use a lot of times verse 16 as a proof text to talk about the essentiality of baptism. And it does show that. But I want you to put yourself in Paul's shoes and when he's going on the road to Damascus. Imagine hearing for the first time that all those murders you committed, all those innocent people you put in jail, all those families you broke up by taking away their father were right because they were Christians. Imagine remembering that all the people you persecuted and every evil thing you did, every hateful word you said, every bad thought you thought, every bad thing you've done could be gone. Because that's what Saul heard. That's what Paul heard. He'd persecuted all these Christians. He says that for 3 days he's praying and fasting, and then Ananias comes in and says, it can all be gone. All you have to do is accept God's mercy. I know you've done some things you feel bad about. I know you feel guilty. I know you have. But he says, arise and be baptized and wash away your sins, calling on the name of the Lord. And it's really that simple. How would you feel? How would you feel if all of a sudden you were told that everything you ever done could be gone? God would wipe it from His mind. He wouldn't bring it up ever again. That's pretty good. And that's mercy. And it's really that simple. God says, I don't care what you've done in the past. I don't care who you've hurt. I don't care where you are or where you've been. Here's my mercy. If you want peace from your past, God says, here's my mercy. And all we need to do is accept God's gift of mercy. So the good news today is my sins can be washed away. The point is we all need mercy. The good news is my sins can be forgiven and my hurts can be healed. That's the good news that we talk about. Last week we talked a lot about Peter and how he was restored by God's mercy and God's grace. His meeting with Jesus in John 21 was a great view of God's mercy. And I don't know for sure But I think Peter was dealing with his guilt and with his past and his past hurts. He's out on that boat fishing. He's just trying to stay busy. When I feel guilty, when I just try to stay busy, when I'm dealing with hurts and I don't want to think about it. So he's out there fishing. He finds out Jesus is on the shore. He goes, and you remember after breakfast, Jesus 3 times says, Peter, do you love me? And 3 times Peter says, Lord, you know I love you. And we talked last week how God in his grace, Jesus in his grace, was letting Peter know, I love you. Do you love me? I accept you. I forgive you. Do you love me? Go feed my sheep. Peter needed that. He needed to know that God, that Jesus was offering him his mercy. But it wasn't until Jesus got his attention by asking him those questions did he find peace. And so we want to look at a skit this morning that shows us a way how Peter possibly could have and that interaction with Peter and Jesus could have happened. And so we'll look at that skit and we're going to see just how God's mercy is made available to us. And then we'll come back and wind some things up.
Grace is God's unmerited favor for us, his crazy love. And the truth is, many times we struggle understanding it. If you find yourself struggling to understand God's grace, don't beat yourself up. Even the disciples struggled with understanding grace.
Jesus, is that you? You're alive. I can't believe you're alive. Okay, I was in the boat and I wasn't catching any fish, okay? But I heard this voice and the voice said, cast your net to the other side. And so I'm thinking, I'm a fisherman. I know what I'm doing, but I'm not catching it. And so I throw that net over there, and then a gaggle of fish pop into that net, and I'm going, this is a total miracle. Who could have done that? I need to know who told me to throw the net to the other side. And boom, I look up, and I mean, there is you. You're looking at me on the seashore going, it is I, the Lord, and you're alive. I can't believe you're alive. This is awesome. Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you. I love you. You're alive. This is so great.
Good, then feed my sheep.
Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on, man. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
I love you, yes. And I'm so sorry about that rooster clucking. I had no idea what that meant, but I do now. I'm better for it, all right? Okay?
Then feed my sheep.
Andrew, I'm smiling, but I'm serious. Come on, get out of the boat. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Jesus, mere words cannot describe the passion that I have for you. I love you. You know everything. I love you.
Good. Good. Then feed my sheep.
I didn't even know you had livestock. That is so like you, though. There's something new about you all the time. That's what I love about you.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you remember the morning the ladies went to the tomb?
Yeah. We're all in the upper room trying to figure out what to do next, because we thought you were dead. You were dead, and we're trying to figure all that out, And Mary comes running up, and Mary's like saying, beehive, beehive, beehive. And I'm thinking, I'm allergic to bees. Like, keep them out, you know what I'm saying? But as she kept getting closer, I heard her correctly. She was saying, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. And we're going, who's alive, who's alive? And she said, she was at the tomb, and the tomb was empty, and she said that there was an angel there, and the angel said, go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay, he is risen. And so me and John, we hightailed it down there, and if John says he beat me, he's totally lying, all right? I beat him, FYI, all right, And we get down there, and I'm looking in that tomb, and it is empty. There's nothing in there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And John is right there. John is so good with words. He should write a book. He is so good with words. And John said, don't you get it, Peter? This is everything Jesus said he was going to do, and you did it, and it's done. Let's go. This is so great.
Wait, the angel said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay. He is risen. You've risen. Let's go. He
said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter. Go tell the disciples and Peter. You said my name. Why did you say my name?
Peter, that's grace.
No, I don't deserve that, because that night people kept coming up to me asking me if I belonged to you, if I was with you, and I kept denying you left and right, all right? No, it'll take me my whole life to make up for what I did. It was unforgivable for what I did.
No. What I did on the cross was meant to take what is unforgivable and make it forgivable. That's my grace. It's not about you. It's always about me. That's grace, Peter.
I love that line where it says, grace is when God takes the unforgivable and makes it forgivable. It's not about you. It's about God. It's not about what you've done or where you've been or what has been done to you. It's about what God has done. And we can find that peace when we accept His mercy. Confront our past, the past sins, the past hurts, and accept the mercy. His mercy will forgive us of our sins. His mercy will heal our hurts. He can take those hurts and use them for His glory. But we have to give them to Him. So this Christmas, I want to encourage you to make peace with your past. And we'll talk more about that next week. But maybe you would like to be baptized into Christ, and we can encourage you. Just message us, contact us through our website or through Facebook. We've already had a couple of people do that. Or if you have a prayer request, you can just send it, and we'll join you in prayer. But make peace with your past. We all have a past hurts, past regrets, past sins. The good news is God in His grace can make the unforgivable forgivable. He can heal our hurts. Let's get it done, and let's find peace this Christmas. We'll see you next week.